The next patient on my desk is a 1914 Victrola the 6th. I think it's a 70,000. What is it now? Yeah, I'll let you see. Yeah, you read it? Let's see if I can read it. 70,586 with a C suffix on there. Nothing's wrong with it, not really. It just has been sitting a long time. Needs all the usual cleaning and service. The springs are incredibly dry, but the motor runs. See it spinning there. It's just dry and needs a new lubrication and everything else. And let's have a peek under there. Probably help if I had a light so you can actually see what's going on. There you go. Because it's a 1914, it has the two individual spring. Oh, look at that. See it slip? That is a very dry spring causing that. It's slipping rather than moving smoothly. It'll probably do it again as we're speaking. Anyway, there, see it? That's why you need to service your springs. You need to open those barrels rather, remove the spring, clean it, because that dry oil and grease in there causes the spring coils to stick and then suddenly release. That'll cause, sometimes you hear a rumbling sound, other times, just a little one. I'll be quiet a minute, see if you can hear it. Wait for it. There we go. There. I guess not. Wasn't the huge slip I expected yet. Hear it in there? Rumbling and rumbling. Talking to you. Telling you, clean me. Being a 1914, this has the isolated horn. It got that in 1913. 1911 and 1912 on the 6 do not have that. It is just an open wooden baffle in here. Being the older model, it still has the pressed steel tone arm support over here. That's all pressed steel, not cast. Although the arm, not tone arm, I'm sorry. Tone arm bracket. The tone arm bracket is cast, while the tone arm bracket support, top, is pressed metal, pressed steel. This one still has its original crank, which has, as you can see, the flat metal shank over here. These were replaced by Victor. They had a tendency to crack right here. So a lot of times you'll find one of these with a replacement crank or a crudely repaired one. This is a female crank. 1915, I believe, they would get the more conventional crank that you're familiar with from the later teens and 20s. But this one is a very original machine. It has an exhibition reproducer, which came to me in pieces, and that's already been rebuilt. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's see. This is a little bit... the felt is a little bit thin on there, as you can see. So unfortunately, that will have to be replaced. You don't want to damage your records putting them on something like this. Not a big deal. I keep that felt in stock. A lot of times with these open machines, you'll find them like this. There's just nothing to protect it. Unless somebody left a record on it for 50, 60, 80 years. This has been exposed to the weather and bugs and everything else that goes on wherever these machines are stored. It's oak, of course. There was a mahogany version. This is the oak version. And you'll notice... You hear that? That's a spring slip. Here we go. This has the individual cabinet-style hinges here. Not the blade hinges that go at the top and the bottom on the later ones. This is the last year, I believe, for this hinge style. But they're working just fine. Nothing wrong with them. A lot of times you'll find These machines are missing their doors of these years because those hinges got loose, the little screws there, and they very easily came off, unfortunately. That did not happen with this one, so that's good. You can see what the original finish looked like. It's only a little dark on the outside. It's not that bad. That'll clean up. That is 100 years of just ground-in filth, wax build up, fingerprint oils, cigarette smoke residues, who knows what else. It's really actually in good shape. There's a little bit of alligatoring here or there, but it's not that bad. Look at the dust on the top. That shows you how long this machine was sitting. The tone arm is a little bit dirty, but not horrible. That'll clean up. And of course, it needs all the usual stuff like the feet on the bottom. Let me see if I can. I don't want to tip this up with it running, but I'll show you the sticker. I'm sorry, the patent label is still on this one. Right there. I don't know. Let me try to get out here so you can see it a little bit better. There you go. August 1st, 1913 is the patent date on it. Generally, those dates, wow, that's a big slip, are within a few months of actual production. You know, they like to keep them up to date because Victor's patents, you know, they're always adding more, making improvements or whatever, and they would update the patent sticker as quickly as possible before someone stole their patent, which everybody was trying to do. The motor is being dry and covered with nasty old grease, surprisingly quiet, but you can see how the dirt is just kind of ground in on the top. That's common. On the top of these things, you always get that because everything settles on them. You know, years of people putting hands around it, your fingerprint oils will get into wood and stain the shellac, but the cotton cleanser will take care of that. That's not a concern. I have a spare knob someplace. They always fall off of these. They're actually available brand new. In fact, I might even have a set of brand new ones. I generally keep a set around because I seem to always need them. I do a lot of sixes. This was a very, very popular machine in the Victor lineup, the 4 to 6 and the 9. And the 4 to 6, 9, 11, and the 16, I guess you'd have to add that too, were the biggest sellers for Victor. You know, they had other machines too, but those were the big ones. The 8 didn't quite sell as well, and so on and so forth. But they made these in the hundreds of thousands from 1911 to 1924. I believe they extended that to 26 with overseas sales. I could be wrong about that, but just going by memory. So you will find a lot of these. Chances are, if you go to a flea market and you find a Victrola, it's going to be a 4, a 6, or a 9. If it's an upright one, someone actually hauls one to a flea market, which is pretty rare, it's likely to be an 11. 11 was actually the most popular Victrola in the history of the company. That was the machine, and it wasn't their cheapest by any means. Neither was this. I don't know exactly what these went for, but in today's money, it was hundreds of dollars, not tens of dollars. It was hundreds. You know, these were a major investment. All of the Victor products were expensive. Didn't matter if it was the smallest one or the biggest one. They were all top quality products and all very expensive for their time. You know, we hear today, wow, that was only $15? Oh, yeah, that was $15 in 1905 or something like that, or 1920. A lot of money. That was a lot of money in a day when some working people made $1 a day. You know, in some cases. Not if you work for Ford, you made $5 a day there, but so basically if you bought a $15 Victrola, that's $3, three days' wages on the Ford assembly line. You know, quite an investment, really. Oh, there we go. We wound down. She stopped. No more death screams. We'll take that apart. Start it all soaking. Oh, I was going to show you the reproducer. It's just a basic... Put it away so it wouldn't get damaged. Just down for a minute. My special case for... I have to take that off 2 hands. Storage of reproducers here in the shop so I don't drop them, lose them, otherwise damage them. There we go. I don't need that anymore. Exhibition. This had been rebuilt by somebody previously. The gaskets were a little discolored, but they were still good. Nothing wrong with them, so I reused them. I did have to replace the diaphragm because that was pretty big. Somebody had actually tried to glue it. That's a no-no. You know, I guess out of desperation, if you have nothing, and this is before parts were readily available, you do what you have to do. But these diaphragms are available for these. They're only like $12. There's something like sometimes cheaper. Replace it, because this, not anything else, this is the heart of the sound reproduction in a Victrola. If this isn't right, nothing else matters. You know, the motor's job is only to spin the turntable at 7 8 RPM consistently. The case's job is to hold everything together and look halfway decent. And the tone arm's job is to hold this. This is what makes the sound happen. This is what takes the grooves, the vibrations, and turns it in the records and turns it into actual sound. I did replace the back isolator gasket. This is one of Walt Summers' gaskets. It's pliable, it's soft. The one that was on here was one of the older ones that were common like 20 years ago or 10 years ago even, and sometimes show up today. They're like a hard plastic. Really intended more for display than actual playing of records, because they do nothing to, make this reproducer have the ability to move a little bit, with the record. See how I'm doing it like that? They're very rigid. And there was a time when people really weren't interested in playing the records. They just wanted to display the machines, and they would settle for a hard piece of plastic back here. That looks good, but doesn't really function like it should. But this will function like it should. And Walt sells these, I think, $12, $13. The price has gone up recently. I think probably about 13 something now. And it's, this is, it's a set for fiber needles, which is very common. When Victor started pushing fiber needles in these days, 1911, 12, 13, and 14, and so on, you could take your reproducer to the dealer, and they would put a new needle bar on there for you. Instead of a round hole there, you would have a triangular one. Almost everybody did it, because Victor had a good supply of those fiber needles. They wouldn't damage records as easily as steel needles. Barely at all, actually. You could reuse them over and over and over again if you had a proper needle cutter. So they were real popular. Yeah, I've lost track of how many times I opened a Victor machine and it's been loaded with dead fiber needles in there. Not dead, just, fiber needles scattered around inside. That actually could be sharpened again and reused, which I've done. I do have a needle cutter. So that was often done. But I think by 1914 it was actually standard issue by then with the triangular hole there. So that's good. That's all set to go. That part of the machine's been done. Now the rest of the work comes. Scrubbing and cleaning and all the normal stuff. But there's nothing really wrong here. This machine is in good shape. My understanding was it was in one family for many years. One of my customers bought a record collection and acquired this machine with the collection. Didn't want the machine, so I took it off his hands. And it'll be playing again soon enough. Probably this weekend, but maybe not. Depends on how lazy I am. We'll see. Maybe I'll nap a few hours in front of the wood stove with the cat. Yeah. All right, but there you go. There's a first look at it. It'll show up again. I just did the video on the Columbia, which is sidelined for the moment. The Graffinola, because I am working on the tone arm. But in the meantime, I will be working on this one. Back to my roots, Victor. A pleasure to work on after dealing with that Columbia motor. Okay, there you go. Good look at it.